Hello, my Seductioneers. I am so excited to invite you to 2024's first episode of Take the Alphabet, where I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Nona Djavid, who is a neuroscientist, I believe, but we're going to talk a little bit more about manifestation, quantum leaping, and what that might look like in your love life. So welcome, Dr. Djavid. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I love that we're totally coordinated with the gray and the sparkle. It's like
Sparkle.
that's right. Connection works, my friends. So yeah, I would love to introduce her first by sharing a little bit from her bio on her LinkedIn, because I think it's very well written. But first and foremost, she's a quantum leap coach. Doesn't that sound exciting? I'm going to ask her what that means exactly, because like quantum leap, that's not a small thing, right? She's also an author and a speaker. She's helped thousands of entrepreneurs create quantum leaps in their business life. And obviously today she's a guest with me. So we're going to talk a little bit more about love life, whether you're single or married, right? Love life is love life. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But she uses 7 pillars that help people transform their lives, which I would love to hear more about as well. She founded something called the Elevate Club, where she simplifies the intricacies of quantum physics, universal laws, transforming them into practical lessons, simple rituals, and everyday tips for ease and flow. Doesn't that sound exciting? I love this. And she's been well featured in Forbes, Huffington Post, Modern Mom, and many media outlets. And she splits her time between California and Italy. I mean, if you want to learn how to manifest, isn't that like the perfect? Yeah, wonderful. So with that said, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I sound like I'm living my childhood dream. Like
Wow.
when I hear you describe my bio, I just sound so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I think you are cool, which is why we're here today, because I think mindset and manifestation and just having clarity around where you're headed in this life is so very important everywhere, business, but definitely in love life. And so I would love to pick your brain more about, why you chose quantum leap coaching in the first place, maybe a little bit more about your background, your education, and how does this stuff work?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that I moved to this country. I moved to the States when I was 16 years old. So barely spoke a word of English. And I was a type A overachiever, A plus, 4.0 student. I graduated high school. And there's a whole reason I tell you all of this because it comes full circle. But I graduated high school a year early, went to UC Berkeley, got my neurology degree, minored in philosophy. I mean, I checked off every single box that you can think of.
Yeah.
Got my doctorate degree, opened a practice. So I became a chiropractor, opened the
Wow.
practice for 10 years. And Amber, when I tell you, I worked so hard. I was like all about doing all the things, and I did all of those. And as a result, I accomplished a whole lot. Like if you looked at my life, shortly after I opened my practice, it looked like I had checked off all of these boxes that our culture tells you it's your parameter for success, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
married, I had a kid, I started a family,
Education, gorgeous, all the things.
well, thank you. Yeah, all of that, right? Except I was completely miserable.
Mm.
So unfulfilled. I was burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what to do with myself because it was like, if you looked at my life, it looked really good. I even went to a therapist and I would describe my life in every category.
They're like, and
Yeah. And you feel guilty. You're like, I know there are other people with bigger problems, but there's something going on here. And here I am paying someone, a paid professional who's telling
yeah.
me to go home and settle in a mediocre marriage where I didn't feel connected in a business that was successful, but I was also a slave to it in my family life, everything else. So where quantum leaping comes from is it actually comes from the thick of that depression that I experienced. So
Mm.
in the experience of like, I've done all of these things, but it didn't add up to the things that I wanted. No area of my life is working. And as I was going through that process, the best way to describe what I was experiencing, I remember telling my then husband that I felt like I was dying on the inside. Like I
Oh,
didn't have
wow.
words. I know. So as I go through that process in the thick of it, I realized that I had to do things differently. Like there's
Mhm.
got to be a better way to do things, which
Mhm.
I know people relate because like, why would I hire yous? Because you make things easier, right? Like
Yeah,
you
of course.
lay out the foundations, you help me quantum leap in dating or in my relationship. So there is an easier way. I just didn't know
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
in the thick of that depression, I had this little glimmer of hope that there was something that I could do that was easier to do. And so one of the things I started to do was I started to dream outside of my 3D reality in
Uh-huh.
three areas: area of wealth or lifestyle, and then
Mhm.
area of health, what I wanted my health to look like, and then of course in the area of connection.
Mhm. So hold on, let's just rewind. So wealth, health, connection.
Yes.
Love
Mhm.
it.
And of course, all of those three things are interconnected. If you're in business, but you have a crappy relationship, it's going to affect your
Love
business.
that. Mhm.
And the other way around, right? If
Mhm.
you're unsatisfied this way, it's going to affect in another category.
Mhm.
So as I did some inner work, I found, you know, what I now help entrepreneurs and individuals sort of be able to do is quantum leap in those areas. In the area of connection, whether they are married or they're in a relationship, they want to take it to that next level.
Mhm.
Or if they are single and they want to attract the right partner for their lives, or what they want to experience in that relationship. And
Mhm.
through this process, I designed a life in which, as you described, I live between Orange County and Italy. I take off a week every month for adventure. My
Mhm.
kids travel the world with me. I mean, I have the partner of my dreams that I never thought.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I teach people the steps that I took to go from that process of like all the doing, all the dissatisfaction
Mhm.
to just designing your life in the way that you want.
Excellent. And I mean, this is a recorded podcast, but for those of you who are listening, like please leave a comment if this sounds like something you want. I want that. I want that. For me, one of the reasons why I became a dating expert is because I had some very dissatisfactory experiences, and there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. And it's so great when you finally figure out that system that can create the quantum leap like you're talking about. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And you mentioned quantum leap, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes a while ago, I started using quantum leap, and people are like, "Have you seen that show called Quantum?" I haven't seen it. Have you seen
Scott
it?
Oh my girl, it is one of my favorite shows from the 90s. Scott Bakula was such a dreamboat. He's so sensitive and he's protective. He's like, if I were to manifest my man, he'd be Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap. Yeah.
Okay, so we're full circle right now. We're manifesting. So yeah, but most people are like, "What is a quantum leap?" Right? And
Mhm.
if you look at the definition of a quantum leap, um, if an atom, if you remember back in like whenever we took physics, right? Like if an atom is jumping from the first layer to the next layer,
Mhm.
the definition of that's called a quantum leap. But
Mhm.
by definition, it does not require the atom to put in more work. Like
Aha.
if you want to like, you know, meet the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams, it actually does not require to like do more work. And I'm not talking about inner work. I'm talking about outer work. Like I have to do X, Y, and Z to qualify for this individual, right? But it's more so, and again, by definition, it's a shift in energy state.
Take notes, audience.
It's
Shift in
about to
energy
get
state.
juicy. It's about to get juicy.
Mhm.
So if the definition of quantum leap is a different energetic state that is able to collapse time and have you jump from one state or one kind of life or one kind of partner you keep attracting
Mm.
the next kind of partner that you want
Mhm.
to attract. And if it does not require more work on your end, like you don't
Mhm.
need to be more successful or have a six pack, or it's not about that. It's more about the energetic state that you're in that will attract that individual. Then, okay, that's exactly where the work begins. How do we
Mhm.
become an energetic match
Mhm.
for our next level partner?
Yeah. Are you willing to share that with us?
Well, maybe. So I know for me, I have used this process in literally every area of my life.
Mm.
When I was in that depth of depression, as I
Mhm.
described, one of the things that I started to do was I started to dream outside of the matrix.
Okay.
Like, what is possible?
Mm.
If
Outside of your current reality is what you're saying.
completely outside of my current reality. As a matter of like I was writing like I'm gonna live in like in international, my kids are gonna and like there was this voice. I was like, are you serious? Like, nah, that's not gonna happen. That's outrage. That's who do you think you are, right? But I was just like, I'm gonna keep writing. I'm gonna tap back into when we were all a child and
Imagination, right? Like anything was possible when you're little.
exactly. I mean, ask my
Mm.
4-year-old. He'll say he wants to be a superhero and save the world. And I'm like, yes, you
Great.
will. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it started with the dream process, really. And
Mm.
I teach people, obviously, there's a lot more to it, but
Mm.
you got to think outside the box. Like I
Right.
start with the pattern of, I've never seen a healthy relationship. My parents, I wouldn't say that they had the healthiest relationship. So how would I know? I look around, my friends are unhappy or there's issues with their relationships. Like if I
Yeah.
don't have an example of it, then that could be my pattern too.
Hmm.
So I had to dream beyond what I knew and say, there is a possibility for absolutely magical connection, the depth of it, the sexual appeal, like all of it, flirty, like I can show up and have all of my sexual, physical, every need met, and that
Mm.
exists. And for me,
Mm.
that was actually a big step, like, because I would have told you that that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, what did they say? It's like if you can think it, you can be it.
So I started to think it,
Hmm.
started to write it out.
Mm.
I did that in different areas in my life, describing my lifestyle and travel, all the things that I get to live now. But in
Mm.
the area of relationship, I wrote down all the things, and I'm not talking tall, dark, and handsome, and this annual income or lives here, has a house, this kind of car.
The nice to haves, as I like to call them, the nice to haves.
So, and also in addition to those, maybe you'll want to talk about or write about what would this feel? What does this give
Mm.
of an
Hmm.
experience? How does this fulfill certain,
Hmm.
parts of life, like my sole purpose of what I would like to experience in life?
Hmm.
And Amber, I kid you
Must
not,
have.
huh?
The must haves.
The must-haves,
The
yes.
must haves, yeah.
And I kid you not, I wrote 12 pages.
Hmm.
Know, like what I want to experience with this, in my case, with this man.
Hmm.
And anyways, that's the first step.
First step. Okay. Taking notes, taking notes.
Dream up, dream up.
Imagination, right? Imagination outside your comfort zone, clarity around not the nice to haves, but the must haves, which sounds like feelings, right? How do you feel
Yeah,
in that situation? And then like the manifestation part is like, what does that feel like right now? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you go from the vision and then you go, okay, I am feeling loved in this relationship. I'm
Mm.
feeling full in this relationship. I'm feeling flirty in this relationship.
Mm.
And when you come up with what those things are that you want in the future relationship, take that list, maybe 3 to 5 like big ones, and then you go, I'm gonna embody those right now. I'm gonna show up on this call with Amber and I'm gonna be super flirty. I'm gonna show up to this Zoom call or to this email and I'm gonna feel unconditional love already. Right? I mean, you probably see this all the time, but I think everyone, if it's when you're looking to be with somebody and you come across with the energetic state, scarcity or not enoughness or desperation sometimes, that doesn't usually end up in a great relationship.
Yeah, I like to distill it down to two very simple concepts is there's dependent confidence and independent confidence, right? And they relate, right? It's all the same message through different channels. So quantum physics, jumping atoms, like Scott Bakula, super exciting stuff. For me as a dating coach, dependent confidence, independent confidence. Dependent confidence is you feel really good about yourself as long as someone's giving you current approval, validation, acknowledgement. Things are going the way that your unexpressed expectations want them to go. But when those things fall apart, all of a sudden you fall apart. Independent confidence is that thing where it's like, you know who you are, you know where you're going, you know what you want, you know how you are in the world and the energetic, magnetic, reflective energy you want back. So if someone rejects you, turns you down, you know, heartbreak, whatever, however it shows up, you still know you're going to be okay because you're part of a bigger picture than you're currently giving yourself credit for. Yeah.
Yes. What a great way to describe all the right brain stuff I just poured out. I love that. As a matter of fact, without knowing what you just described, which I didn't realize there was words to describe it, one of the things I had put in my life vision for in the area of connection is I had put in, and I still have it, unattached confidence. So it's not like without knowing it, I was describing this sense of like, I just show up and I'm not attached to the outcome. I just am confident in who I am and what I would like to experience.
And the beautiful thing about that is it's instantly magnetic. For me, I like to just distill things down very simply. It's you're either magnetic or you're repellent or you're neutral. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with being repellent for the right things.
Totally.
You know, manifestation works both ways. Like you were saying, it's the same amount of energy to be unhappy and miserable versus the same amount of energy to be manifesting and fulfilling. It's a matter of choice, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
And the jump between the two, I think where people get stuck is when they're addicted to a certain pattern or a certain emotion or a certain, you know, without going too deep because we got like however many minutes.
You guys, this is just going to have to be a continued conversation. Leave in the comments below if you like this stuff and you want to hear more. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if you can recognize the pattern that we've been showing up like, oh, I'm using my failures in dating to validate my feeling for unworthiness.
Oh, girl, yeah, that is deep.
Right?
Breather, people, yeah, but it's true, right? Like where we put our focus is where we go. It's like in surfing, right? If anyone's ever been surfing or wants to learn about surfing, where your eyes go is where your board goes. So if you don't want to crash into the rocks, don't look at them.
And if you don't surf, the race car drivers will tell you learn how to drive a race car or ride a bike. They tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, so with that said, I mean, I think this was a great way to dip our toes into like what it is that you do as a quantum leap coach, how it works in the world of dating and love life, which isn't just for single people, right? You married people. I mean, we don't have enough time, but I'd love to hear more about like your personal romance story because I saw some beautiful photos of you guys with horses and things. You guys check her out on Instagram. Can you tell us what your Instagram is?
Yeah, I think my handle is just my first name, my last name. So it's Nona Djavid. And that's probably the best place to, and my website's on there. And for those of you who are interested, there is a free guide to the 3 kinds of visions you can have for
Yeah.
your life. And that link is also on my Instagram page. You could workshop the crap out of your love life.
Wow. And that's just available right there on Instagram for people.
Totally free.
Oh, I love it. And then I know you do master classes from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think depending on when this releases, but all of it on my bio and my Instagram.
Okay, great. And so if people wanted to stay in the loop about the things that are upcoming, is there a way to join your mailing list or your notification list?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If they grab the guide that I have for dreaming, that will automatically get them into the email list as well. That's probably the best way. They get some value. Hopefully they print it out, do the work with it, and then of course, stay up to date with everything else too.
Okay, well, good. Well, actually, I'd love to issue a challenge to the audience here. So those of you who are finding this like valuable and powerful and you're curious about it, go to her Instagram, download the challenge, and then keep us in the loop. I mean, I know for me, my mission as a coach is to make a difference for people. I'm so honored and blessed to be with people on the journey that's so very important and powerful. And I imagine it's the same for you. Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. So, this is a collective and community effort. You're not alone. You're not alone in your search for love. You're not alone in your search for the next level. And that's, why I call this podcast Take the Alphabet. It's really about becoming the best version of yourself. And obviously my specialty is dating and love life, but like she said, everywhere in your life, how you do one thing is how you do most things. So, the more experts the faster results you produce. And that's it. That's all I got. But yeah, leave comments below if you guys want more of this stuff. But thank you so much, Dr. Djavid. It was such a pleasure to be here with you. My mind is super open. I'm going to take the challenge. So I hope we can do this again soon. Yeah.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. Ciao for now.